Alex froze, staring at the spreading ripple in the mirror. At first it looked like water disturbed by a stone, but then the surface darkened, shapes forming in the swirl. A hand thin, shadowed, with fingers too long to be human, pressed against the inside of the glass. His breath hitched. What is that? The girl's reflection stepped closer, her expression hardening. The mirror doesn't only reveal truth. It opens doors. And not everything that comes through is meant for you. The shadow hand dragged slowly down the glass, leaving behind streaks of black that bled like ink. Alex stumbled back. It sees me. It always has, she whispered. But now that you've crossed the veil, it can reach you. The surface convulsed, and suddenly the glass cracked, not fully breaking, but splintering into jagged spiderwebs. From within, two glowing eyes appeared, watching him with predatory intent. A cold whisper slithered into Alex's ears. Trade. Trade places. Let me out. Alex shook his head violently. No. The girl's reflection stepped in front of him, protective, fierce. Stay back. It feeds on doubt. If you give it your fear, it grows stronger. But fear was all Alex had. His heart hammered, palms sweating, every instinct screaming to run. He turned toward the door, but the knob wouldn't budge. Locked. When had it locked? The thing inside the mirror pressed harder, cracks spreading wider. Shards of glass began to rattle as if about to explode outward. The reflection grabbed Alex's shoulders. Listen to me. This is your room. Your world. It has no power here unless you allow it. Stand your ground. Alex's knees shook. I can't. You can, she insisted, eyes blazing. Because I am you. And I'm not afraid. The shadow hissed, its claws scraping against the glass, filling the room with a screech like nails on metal. Alex clamped his hands over his ears, but the sound burrowed straight into his skull. Then instinct took over. He shouted, voice breaking but loud, desperate. Get out of my room. The glass flared white. The crack sealed shut in an instant, the shadow shrieking as it was pulled back into the dark. The surface stilled, once more just a mirror. Silence. Alex collapsed to his knees, shaking, heart pounding so hard it hurt. He looked up at his reflection, not the girl this time, but only himself. Yet faintly, just behind his image, she smiled with pride. You did it, she whispered. But this was only the first. Alex's chest tightened. If that was only the beginning, what else was waiting in the dark? The next morning, sunlight poured through Alex's curtains as though nothing had happened. For a moment, he almost convinced himself it was nothing. Just a nightmare. Just his imagination. But when he walked to the bathroom, his reflection told another story. The girl's face flickered over his own, just for an instant, long enough to make his stomach flip. Not again, he whispered, gripping the sink. He shoved his hair under a beanie and hurried downstairs. Aunt Margaret was already at the table, sipping black coffee with her usual stern expression. She glanced up, eyes narrowing. You're late again, she said. Then, after a pause, and what's with your voice? Alex froze. What about it? It sounds different, she muttered, studying him too closely. He forced a cough, lowering his tone. Just a sore throat. Margaret didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. Alex shoved toast into his mouth and rushed out the door, heart pounding. At the antique store, things grew stranger. Mr. Whitlock was dusting the shelves when he suddenly frowned at Alex. Did you polish this mirror? He asked, pointing at an oval relic propped in the corner. Alex blinked. No. Well, it's glowing, Mr. Whitlock muttered, squinting. Alex turned, and his stomach dropped. The surface shimmered faintly, just like his mirror at home. No one else seemed to notice, but to Alex it was unmistakable. The shadow's presence wasn't trapped in his bedroom anymore. It was leaking out. That evening, as Alex walked home through Willow Creek's quiet streets, he felt eyes on him. Every reflective surface, shop windows, car mirrors, even puddles in the street, rippled as if something stirred beneath. Once, he swore he saw the outline of that clawed hand scraping across the water's edge. By the time he reached his house, his skin prickled with unease. And then he heard it. Alex. He spun. The voice was soft, almost carried by the wind. But when he looked into the darkened window of the house across the street, the reflection was there, the girl version of him, pressed against the glass. Her face was pale with urgency. "They're coming," she whispered. Alex's blood ran cold. "Who?" Before she could answer, a shadow slid across the window behind her, blotting her out. The glass cracked. And then the light in the house across the street went dark. Alex stood frozen on the sidewalk, staring at the cracked window across the street. The house belonged to Mrs. Donnelly, a retired teacher who always left her porch light on. Tonight, it was dark. Too dark. He forced himself to step closer, every instinct telling him to run the other way. As he approached, he caught a glimpse in the glass again, not his reflection, but that thing. Long claws dragging slow lines across the inside of the pane. Two eyes glowing faintly. Watching him. "Not here," Alex whispered to himself. "Not her." A door creaked behind him. Alex spun to see his neighbor Jenna Clark, a college student who lived 2 houses down. She was carrying a bag of groceries, earbuds in, completely oblivious. "Hey, Alex," she said casually, tugging one earbud out. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." Alex's throat tightened. Over her shoulder, the cracked window seemed to stir. Shadows crawled beneath the glass, reaching outward, like fingers probing for a way through. "Jenna, don't," he started, but it was too late. The streetlight above flickered violently. Jenna glanced up, frowning. "That's weird." Then the reflection struck. The glass across the street shattered outward with a deafening crash. A burst of shadow, thick and writhing, shot into the night like smoke come alive. It streaked across the road, aiming straight for Jenna. Alex moved without thinking. He dropped his backpack and shoved her aside. The shadow hit him instead, cold as ice and heavy as stone. His body convulsed, every nerve screaming. Images flashed through his mind, dark corridors, mirrors breaking, voices whispering his name. Then, just as suddenly, the shadow retreated, sucked back toward the ruined window. The glass resealed, leaving nothing but silence and shards glittering on the ground. Jenna scrambled up, wide-eyed. "Alex, what the hell was that?" He staggered, chest heaving, the world tilting sideways. His reflection, the girl, flickered faintly in the nearest shop window, her expression grim. "They're not just after you anymore," she whispered. "They're after anyone close to you." Alex's blood turned cold. He looked at Jenna, shaken but unharmed, and then at the empty, silent house across the street. The mirror wasn't just hunting him. It had marked his entire world. That night, Alex sat at his desk, trembling hands clutching his sketchbook. The events outside replayed in his mind, the shattering glass, the shadow hitting him, Jenna's terrified face. He couldn't keep this secret anymore. Whatever the mirror was, it wasn't just his burden now. He flipped open the sketchbook and began scribbling frantic notes. Glow at midnight, reflection alive, rules, shadows hunting, Jenna attacked. Each word tightened the knot in his chest. Finally, he whispered, "I need answers." The reflection stirred in the mirror, her expression heavy. "Then you need to ask the right questions. Start with your family." Alex blinked. "What do you mean?" Her eyes softened. "You think it's chance this mirror found you? It's not. It never is." The next day, Alex skipped work and headed straight to the library where Aunt Margaret worked. She was shelving books in the history section when she spotted him. "You look pale," she said sharply. "Are you sick?" Alex hesitated, then blurted, "Where did this mirror come from?" Her hands froze mid-shelf. She turned slowly, eyes narrowing. "What mirror?" "The one in my room," he said. "The one I brought home. I thought it was just old junk, but you know something, don't you?" Margaret's face went rigid. For a moment, she looked like she might lie. But then she sighed, lowering her voice. "Your grandmother." Alex's heart jumped. "What about her?" "She had one just like it," Margaret muttered. "Years ago, when I was your age. She kept it locked in the attic. She said it was dangerous, cursed, even. I thought she was being dramatic. But one day it disappeared. She never spoke of it again." Alex's blood ran cold. "So this mirror, it's the same one?" Margaret avoided his eyes. All I know is she warned us never to touch it. She said it shows you the self you're most afraid to see. Alex thought of his reflection, not fear, but truth. The girl inside wasn't something he feared. She was something he longed for. But if the mirror was tied to his family, what else was it hiding? Later that night, he returned to his room, staring at the mirror with a new intensity. Why me? He asked the reflection. Why my family? She stepped closer inside the glass, her expression grave. Because someone in your family made a bargain with it long ago. And now it's collecting the debt. Before Alex could respond, the glass behind her cracked again. This time, instead of one shadowy claw, two pressed against the inside of the mirror. The debt wasn't just his. It was still growing. That night, Alex couldn't shake his aunt's words. A bargain. A debt. His grandmother. If the mirror had chosen him because of family, then somewhere in that old creaky house, the answers had to be waiting. After midnight, when Margaret had gone to bed, Alex grabbed a flashlight and crept up the narrow stairs to the attic. The air was thick with dust and the scent of mothballs. Boxes piled high, old trunks, yellowed curtains, forgotten lives stuffed into corners. He searched for nearly an hour before his hand brushed something small wedged behind a cedar chest, a weathered leather journal, its cover cracked but intact. Scrawled across the front in faded ink, Eleanor Harper, 1963. His grandmother's name. Alex opened it carefully. The pages were filled with looping handwriting. The first entries were ordinary, recipes, town gossip, notes about raising children. But then the tone shifted. The mirror spoke again tonight. It showed me the daughter I lost. She looked alive, smiling, waiting. It said if I wanted her back, I must give something in return. Alex's hands trembled. He flipped further. It demands presence. It grows stronger the longer I watch. Sometimes I think I see others moving inside. Not my daughter. Not me. Something else. Page after page, the journal spiraled into fear. Eleanor had become obsessed with the mirror, visiting it nightly. Her handwriting grew shaky, frantic. It tricked me. It wasn't her. It never was. It wants us all. I've locked it away. May no one in my blood ever touch it again. Alex slammed the journal shut, chest heaving. But one loose page slipped free, fluttering to the floor. He picked it up, a sketch. His grandmother had drawn it in hurried pencil strokes. The figure in the sketch was unmistakable, the same shadowy creature with glowing eyes that had pressed against his mirror. From the corner of the attic, something creaked. Alex spun, flashlight beam darting. For a split second, he thought he saw his reflection in the dusty window, but it wasn't his face. It was the girl's. She looked frightened. "Leave," she whispered, though her lips didn't move. "They know you found it." At that moment, the mirror downstairs pulsed. Even from up here, Alex felt it, like a heartbeat in the walls. And the shadows in the glass were no longer waiting. They were coming up the stairs. The attic door groaned on its hinges. Alex froze, clutching the journal tight to his chest. The thudding sound beneath the floorboards wasn't footsteps, it was heavier, like claws dragging along wood.